The Adventures of Lumpy Pear, Episode 6. Lumpy woke up to something licking his face. Trouble. What do you want? Oh no. Lumpy could smell something. He forgot. Oh no. Trouble. He stepped out of his bed and right into... Oh, trouble. Oh. Lumpy didn't know everything about raising a dog. Definitely not this one, but it only takes one time to learn that type of lesson. So, Lumpy hopped on one foot to the door, opened the door, and let Trouble run out. And Trouble ran, found a spot to finish his business. Lumpy was scraping his shoe, or his foot. He doesn't sleep with shoes on, you know. Scraping his shoe. Dang it. Oh well, at least I just have a dirt floor. But now I really have to come up with something different. I don't want to live in a house that smells like, you know. So, Lumpy waited for Trouble to finish his business. And he came running back and started whimpering. Yeah, I know, Trouble, you're hungry. So he went, and he's getting kind of tired of chicken. But that was all he had. He looked over at his crops, and they weren't doing too well. I guess we need to figure out something else, don't we, Trouble? Yep. Trouble yepped, as if he was saying yes. There was a special bond. Once Lumpy's feet were clean, he walked down to the river, and Trouble got a drink. And Lumpy finished washing off his feet. You know, it was clean, but he could tell it wasn't really clean. So he washed his feet off in the water. And as he looked in the water, and as Trouble finished getting his drink, he saw a fish swimming up and down. He thought, oh, that sounds good. Maybe we should have some fish. Yep, so he went inside, grabbed his fishing rod, and went back to the shore and threw his lure in. And he waited, and he waited, and he waited. Lumpy wasn't very good at fishing. And he waited, and he waited, and he waited, and he waited. And he felt a nibble, and he pulled on it. And nothing came up. So he said, okay, this is the last time I'm going to do this. So he cast his lure in, and it splashed in the water. And he said, this time I'm going to pull it slowly. Reel it in. And he tried to make it almost pretend like it was a fish. And sure enough, boom, he felt a bite. And it was pulling. And Trouble was barking like crazy, running around, bouncing up and down like he couldn't control himself. And Lumpy pulled and reeled in, pulled and reeled in. And boom, right out of the water and onto the ground, flopping around, was a big fish. It was bigger than Trouble. And which isn't saying much because Trouble was still a little puppy, but it was a pretty big fish. And Trouble was just so excited, and he ran up to it and kind of started biting it. And Lumpy said, hold on. So he picked it up and took the hook out, and it was still wriggling around. And he said, well, let's put it out of its misery. So he took it and whacked its head on a rock, and the fish stopped wiggling. And he was thankful for the fish.
Like he was for the chicken.
Yep, just like he was for the chicken. He was glad that he had food. He didn't like killing things, but Sometimes you have to survive. And so he took the fish and he went up and he put it in the furnace oven and roasted it up. And there was so much, it was going to last a few days. So he fed Trouble and he ate some. And then he just kind of put it in on top of his chest. And he thought, I need to come up with a better solution. It smells like a smelly chest that we got from the beach. It smells like Trouble's mess. And it smells like fish. This is gross. So he looked at the chest and he thought, oh my goodness, I've got all this awesome stuff in here and so much to do. He decided to make a plan. He thought, I'm going to make a different house and maybe I'll turn this cube into a luxury doghouse for Trouble. And I can have a different house. And I'll put a door attached to it so that Trouble can come visit me. But when it's time to put Trouble in bed or whatever, I can put Trouble in his own room. So he made a plan and scratched it into the ground. He scratched it into the ground so he could have a layout. And he made a list of all the materials, and it was getting dark by this time. And so he went back to bed. And that night wasn't very eventful. He woke up in the morning. But before he went to bed, he remembered to take out Trouble so Trouble wouldn't make a mess in the house again. And he woke up and he said, okay, it's time to start building a little bit bigger of a house. So we went out into the woods and chopped all the wood and came back and started putting everything together.
How did Lumpy learn how to build?
Well, you learn how to build things by practicing. You know, sometimes you just have to learn quick. You don't be afraid to try things. That's how you learn to build things and make things. So he said,
it's like impossible to make cement.
Cement? No, it's not impossible. And so that's what he did. He just learned because he had to. So he started building his house. And it took lots of days. Lots of days. He thought, oh my goodness, this is taking way too long. So he said, I'm going to make it a little bit simpler. So he built another cube. Oh man, this house was so boring looking. But it did the job. So once he made the separate house, he made a table. And he opened up the chest that he got from the beach in the secret cave that they discovered. And he took out the sword with the purple blade. What is this thing? He was still afraid to touch it. Then he took out the book.
Well, then how did he take it out?
Well, he took it out, but he was afraid to hold on to it.
Like to touch the blade?
Yeah, he was afraid to touch any of it.
But he did?
Yeah, he just grabbed the handle and put it down real fast. And then he took out the book. Some of the pages were wet and a little moldy.
The handle is normal, but the rest is.
He could tell that this was an old book. He was afraid to even open the pages. And it was all words, or at least he thought they were words. But he didn't recognize even the letters. It was so weird looking. And he opened the first page. And is Joseph asleep? Oh, I thought you were asleep. He looked at the first page. And it was going to fall apart. And so he thought, I got to keep this safe until I can figure out what to do with it. So he put it back in, but he kept the sword on the table. It was like hypnotism when he looked at it. He couldn't stop staring at it. he couldn't stop looking at the sword. And then he saw writing on it, all the way up the blade. It was the same language as on the book. This is very interesting. And it also looked very, very, very sharp. Like it would cut you without any effort. Except in one spot, it had a big gash with a very weird marking on it. Like it hit something very hard.
Like a rock.
He went to the library in town and asked the librarian, as best he could, for old books or books on languages. And there was nothing there. So he went back home and grabbed the book and brought it to the librarian. And showed it to him, and the librarian's eyes went huge. And then the librarian took out a map and pointed to a land that was very far away. And basically said, as best as Lumpy could figure out, that's where he had to go if he wanted to know about the book. It was going to be a very, very long journey. And so Lumpy had to get things ready. He wanted to know about this book. There were too many weird things happening.
Did not forget about Trouble.
There was so many things happening. That's right. He wasn't going to forget about his puppy. Weird dreams, things missing, finding glowstone, finding swords and books. Too many weird things were happening. And he wanted answers.
And nothing happened to me like this on Minecraft.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep. So Lumpy went home and made a huge list of all the things that he was going to have to do. And the whole time he thought, what am I going to do with Trouble? I can't take Trouble with me on this trip. Trouble's too small. So he made a leash and he put it around Trouble and brought Trouble to the village. And he found the person that found him when he was knocked unconscious and asked him to take care of the puppy as he pointed to the map. Because remember, all he could really say is, "Ah." But he could tell that they were going to take care of the puppy. And so Lumpy went home alone that night because he was going to make his journey to this faraway land. And he had everything packed and ready to leave as soon as the sun came up for his big adventure. So he lay down and couldn't stop thinking about what it could all mean. It just kept going in his head again and again and again until he fell asleep. And that's the end of today's story. Thanks for listening. If you want more videos like this, click subscribe, and I love to hear back what you think about these stories. So leave a comment in the section below, and there's more to come.